Our next guest, Cheryl Ratner Price, has dedicated her career to Holocaust education, to developing relationships between survivors, educators, and students. She has over 30 years of experience in ceramics. Come on up, Cheryl. In ceramics, sculpture, and architectural design, which has led her to co-founding and serving as executive director of the Butterfly Project. And as she comes up, let's watch a little bit about their mission.
Holocaust education was delivered to me was just awful.
We want the kids to remember, but we wanted them to feel hopeful.
Initiated by the San Diego Jewish Academy in 2006, the project aims to create 1.5 million painted ceramic butterflies in memory of the 1.5 million youth who perished in the Holocaust.
Holocaust survivors, working with children.
We had to wear Jewish stars.
When we saw the cattle cars, we realized we are being shipped to a concentration camp.
And somebody's calling out my name. Then he said, "Stay alive so you can tell the world what they're doing to us."
And I was 11 years old when I was taken to the concentration camp. So many of my friends, they're not with us. They were Jewish. This was the only reason that they were murdered.
Inspired by an artist.
Friedel Brandas helped us to survive.
Friedel used art for good, to give the children hope, to cope with this shock and the fear.
What began in a school.
Would you want to wear something like this?
Right? It's not just a Jewish project.
Inspired people across America.
And I mean, this is like one of the best parts of our lives is when a box comes in.
And around the world.
That we're able to do this down the road from Auschwitz, there's an important message there.
Butterflies are flying in.
They're reframing a tragedy to make the world a better place.
I've learned that if I don't do anything, then nothing will change.
The Butterfly Project gives a voice back to the anonymous child.
This is a lesson for life.
Okay, Cheryl Ratner Price joins us here on stage. It's so nice to see you here.
Thank you.
Let's give her a warm welcome. You have an important and awesome job. You get to take these stories and also honor the children, the 1.5 million children who died in the Holocaust, and you're engaging children around the world. Tell us a little bit about how you got into this.
You know, it's first, I just want to say it's incredible to be here at Southwestern College. I am so astonished and so excited to come back here again and visit. And thank you, Dr. Sanchez, Leanne, everyone, everyone who participated so far today to set this context and a space where there can be authentic listening and a safe place for conversations that are hard. And, I think I do have one of the most amazing trajectories of being a ceramic artist and then finding myself in Holocaust education, which I was terrified, was afraid I would do it badly and do it wrong. And if your heart is in the right place, there's no way to do it wrong. We are remembering the children that were killed, the 1.5 million Jewish and non-Jewish children that were brutally killed in a very short time. And it's young people that are remembering young people and people of all ages also making those butterflies. I get to watch people become artists. Every single one of you is an artist. You've all gotten something when you walked in that you will create a work of art. I hope you'll take your time. There's a biography card inside. And I was told by Zanita that Your finished butterflies that are painted, we want to collect them at Dr. Sanchez's office. Thank you. And please, please participate with us. You're a witness to what you've heard today. You're holding these stories with you. Please tell other people what you've heard, and thank you for being here and for standing up for people for everyone that needs help, that's been marginalized, and for understanding more about Jewish history and the Holocaust.
There's something very meditative about painting, right? And it's so great that each and every one of us received a bio of a child. So as we are moving through that work of painting, there is we could lift up prayers and thoughts and remember, because many of those survivors on the cards, they are Anita and Robert and Ben's age. They would have been today, right? So it's something to think about. We have some slides here. Do you want to speak to any of these here? So your goal is...
Our goal is, well, we know every butterfly counts. And if Hitler and accomplices have killed all those children in such a short time, we've been going for 17 years. We have 330,000 butterflies, ceramic butterflies, displayed around the world. We are in 49 of our 50 states.
Wow.
And in 22 countries.
Which one is the one state that you're not in?
We are not in North Dakota, if anyone knows.
Anyone got a hookup in North Dakota?
So, we're a little grassroots project that started at San Diego Jewish Academy between Jan Landau, who is in the green shirt in the image you're seeing, and she's an educator that asked me, an artist, to help her. So never give up. Always believe in a hairy, scary goal, especially you young, soon-to-be graduates, when you get out in the world. And just like Ben Midler also said, just believe in it, go for it, do what you have to do. So anyway, in this slide, you saw our education team, which has... Sonia has her father's uniform that he escaped in. We have a yellow star artifacts that we bring into classrooms. We would be thrilled to come back to Southwest College and present. We present to all ages. And then we paint butterflies afterwards. And so we're very blessed because these 4 women are all descendants of Holocaust survivors. They are educators that are retired now, but they weave their family stories beautifully in so that it's not just the testimony, it's the values, the lessons that we have to carry forward. And so let's see what the next slide is. So this is how it starts. You read the biography card. Please, when you do, say the name out loud of who you're painting for, even if it's hard to pronounce, and then paint your butterfly, and then go to the next slide. Then it goes up on the wall magically. It's a pretty profoundly impactful experience. You're making something that is a memorial, but it's got your fingerprint on it. So you're connected to that child. Save that story. Let's see the next slide. And then here is a number of our survivors. You can see Ben there in the middle, actually. That's at our survivor wall at San Diego Jewish Academy. Everyone together. And here, Sweetwater District, we were in a number of schools here in Chula Vista. We're super proud. One of our educators just got named Teacher of the Year.
Yay.
And that's Julie Carson. And so we have displays at East Lake, and Chula Vista High is coming along, Hilltop, and a few others. So we don't have anything here, so I have my hopes. And you can see in this image here, central is the child's story. And young people get really involved and connected with, how are we going to put these butterflies all together now and make something impactful that when people walk by, they say, I know what that is. My butterfly's there, or I want to do that. And that's kind of the secret sauce of how we've evolved, is that it's a very, it is meditative. You feel like you're doing something good after hearing a really tough story, and, it makes a difference.
And there is a way that many of us here in this audience beyond painting can participate. I know that you don't have 1.5 million bios written out,
No,
right?
we do not.
So, especially since there's a lot of journalism students here in the audience, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yes, I have a request and a wonder, hopefully, that some of the journalism students that might be looking for projects, I have volunteers here too with clipboards that have that QR code. We would love for you to get in touch with us and help us with our research. There are so many stories that we have partial information about. Some of it's really quite good, but it hasn't been put together in a story that is understandable from where they lived, what the community was like, what their family was like. And we have researchers in Germany and in Israel that can work with you to really pull out these stories and memorialize these children and bring them back to life.
And we don't have to be a journalism student in order to help out with that, right? Anybody who has some time.
We need people to put some time in, and we always need volunteers. And we're growing. We're a little organization with a lot of
small but mighty.
Small but mighty. So we could use a lot of support and help, and we'd love to be able to work with you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Let's give her a big round of applause for all the work in which she's doing.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Big hug. All right. Thank you so much, and making sure that these stories stay alive.
I wanted to ask, can everyone take their butterfly out of their bag?
Oh, yeah.
And I can take a picture? What?
Grow milkweed.
And grow milkweed. Good idea. If you could just, in a moment of silence, pull out your butterfly and just hold it up. Maybe just give us a feeling of hope. Oh, I have a better photographer than me and my phone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you hold it up high?
Oh, nice. Oh, that's precious.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Much love to you and your organization.
Thank
really
you for
appreciate
having
you
us.
so
Appreciate
much.
being here.
Okay, I know we've been sitting around for a little bit. We have our final conversation here. I wanted to invite back up to the stage Elizabeth Tobias. I have your reflection here, so don't worry about that yet. Elizabeth is an arts therapist, and she's the granddaughter of a survivor. And not only, I find it so interesting that you are a trauma therapist because your family has gone through a lot of trauma. And I think her story, and we're just going to talk just for a few minutes really quickly about her late grandfather, who was a tremendous leader in the Jewish community here and in Mexico. And yet nobody could really talk about some of the stories until after he passed, right? Right. So let's talk a little bit about how these stories get passed on in different ways, and sometimes they don't because of the trauma.
Exactly. And thank you, Leanne, and thank you to everybody. I mean, this day, preparing for this day, how do I prepare for this day, in being a part of this? It's a daunting task and a beautiful task, and I'm just so honored to be a part of this. And I'm honored that all of you are here to share in this experience, because these are difficult conversations, but this is our path forward, is having the conversations. My grandfather couldn't have the conversations. And the reason he couldn't have the conversations is because of what's known as, I think, intergenerational trauma. When you've gone through something that is such a profoundly difficult experience, such as the Holocaust or a catastrophe of any kind, one of your coping strategies is to kind of cut off your emotions in many ways. And so then your family goes from generation to generation living with cut off emotions. So the family doesn't talk to each other because you have learned that the way to you don't even know why, but you just don't really talk about your feelings. So I think, it was interesting even what Robert brought up. Two of the main coping strategies for intergenerational trauma are denying and minimizing. You make it small, you make it insignificant. You say, oh, it wasn't a big deal. or you just kind of push out that it even happened. And for my grandfather, it wasn't that he wouldn't talk about it, he couldn't talk about it.
He couldn't talk about it. Can you explain why?
Well, because words fail to really contain what a person has gone through. When they've gone through such an overwhelming, it's like an experience that is too much, too soon, too fast, too violent, and it overwhelms our nervous system to such a degree that you can't really put into words what happened. And language fails. It just fails to describe that human experience. And so, you know, like with the Butterfly Project, when you take art or you take painting or movement or other modalities, then it's an opportunity. But you have to remember, psychoanalysis had just been created, and Freud himself had to flee because of the Holocaust. Freud fled and he died shortly after.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't even have therapy. I mean, this was the beginning of psychotherapy.
Which is why I think it's so interesting what you do. So you talked briefly about your grandfather, Max, and then this is Miriam. And Miriam is?
Miriam Furstenberg Weinstock was my grandfather's mother who disappeared from the Warsaw Ghetto. And to be honest with you, we don't know what happened to her. We don't know if she went to Treblinka. We don't know if she went to Auschwitz. And my Aunt Leah and I, actually, who's here in the audience today, my Aunt Leah, and she put together an archive of our family history and a lot of this information when she was working with Sandy on the Remember Us, the Holocaust exhibit in Chula Vista. And Leah and I were kind of torturing ourselves a little bit because we don't know what happened to Miriam. And my grandfather could not speak of it. Leah pulled out a picture. She found a picture one day and she said, "Who is this?" And my grandfather yelled at her and he said, "Do not ever show me that again."
Oh, wow.
And we don't know what happened to her.
And now with this passing, your family has the openness and the space to begin talking about it. And what I found interesting in our conversation is that, you know, later in life, you know, we're older adults, you have a teenage child, you're just now beginning to learn and to dig and be able to talk about it. And I wanted to share this as an experience of one of many different types of experiences of how intergenerationally, you know, how these stories are passed on or not passed on. For example, I have friends who are in the Japanese, whose grandparents were in the Japanese internment camp. They never talk about it. My grandmother, who lived through Japanese occupation in South Korea, literally just said one thing to me, which was never marry a Japanese person or else you will never be my granddaughter, you know? And that was the conversation, right? So I just think it's interesting because this is real things that are happening in our families. So thank you so much for sharing this. Is there any last thing that you want to say about your experience with your grandfather and how you personally are passing this on to your children and hopefully to their children's children as well?
Yes. I mean, the healing is we're talking about it. You're talking about your family history. I'm talking about my family history. All of you are seeing a picture of Miriam Furstenberg Weinstock because we weren't allowed to talk about it. And for years, we just didn't. We just didn't for years and years and years because it was that intergenerational, gap. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for hearing my story. Thank you for saying the name of Miriam Furstenberg Weinstock in your heads or in your hearts.
Let's say it out loud. Miriam Furstenberg Weinstock. There she is, out there. Yes,
Thank you.
Looking down. Let's wrap this up. You are going to do a reflection for us,
Yes.
right? Okay, so at this time, I think most of us have a little candle, right? So let's go ahead and bring that out.
Pull them out. Hold on to them. I'll give you a cue, and I need a little second here.
Oh, here's your reflection.
I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Hold on. Am I just going to stay where I am?
Sure, or you can stand wherever that feels right for you.
All right, I think I'm going to stand up.
They're kind of hard to turn on. You got to really push that button there.
Yeah, well, it's okay. However it works is fine. All right, I'm just going to end. Oh, don't light them yet.
Oh.
Sorry, we do that part together. In April of 1943, German troops invaded the Warsaw Ghetto to round up the last surviving inhabitants. The Jewish residents revolted and led the largest uprising by Jews during World War II. Almost exactly 80 years ago today, the Germans crushed the uprising, set the ghetto on fire, and deported the surviving residents to concentration camps. My great-aunt Natalie narrowly escaped her death. From the burning rubble of our family home in the Warsaw Ghetto, she recovered a single silver candlestick. L'Ador Vador, from generation to generation, we are all entrusted with the great responsibility of telling our stories so these memories and histories are strengthened for the next generation. Summarizing the words of Rabbi David Katz, may we dedicate ourselves to the idea that justice does not allow persecution, that genocide shall not be repeated, and that peaceful coexistence is a shared responsibility. May those who fight for equity and justice prevail, and those who need protection not become victims. May the lessons we learn from this tragic period help humankind to better itself. We honor the souls of the victims of this brutality and all brutalities. We honor their lives and their memories by observing this day and by doing everything in our power and beyond to make sure that these shadows do not continue to spread hatred throughout our world. Let us again take some nourishing breaths. Breathing in, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Breathing out, let us return to ourselves and relax in our bodies and minds. With the loud exhale, sigh it out. Thank you all for being here today. Kindly illuminate your candle now and hold it out in front of you. Take a moment to look around the room and to observe the strength and beauty of our lights shining together. May the light of unity dawn in our minds. Every thought of understanding will open your heart. May peace and love triumph toward a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our program. I just wanted to say you all had a chance to go somewhere else during this time, but you chose to be here with us, and there's no coincidence in that. I hope that you learned and gained a little bit of knowledge today and some inspiration. And we have here a little QR code that we showed earlier. If you're so inclined, there's a lot of resources here for you to get involved with some of the organizations here for you to do your own education and knowledge. We also have links to Robert's Kinder Transport interview from many, many years ago, and then some. And then some of the PDF articles of the El Sol magazine. So thank you again so much, and be kind to one another, and let's together end suffering in the world. Thank you all.